Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive and encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. Designed for more than just therapists, if you're a helping professional in any way, Diversity in Clinical Practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve, and it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. Today, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist, or my informing and empowering efforts as an author and speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on the question, can AI be culturally biased? Now, when I pose this question, many of you listening understandably think varying immediate thoughts. Some of you go straight to science fiction movies where robots not only realize they don't need humans anymore to survive, but they also think they can do a better job of running the world and, in fact, resent that we think we can control them, all before some creative human hero saves the world from the scary artificial intelligence before it gets out of hand. And others of you, while not necessarily going that far, did think of how much technology there is out there that seems to know way more than you're comfortable with being known, especially when you aren't confident in whether the information will always be used to help you or whether it will also be used against you in some way at some point in time. And still many of you, and maybe some in both of those camps, thought as well, regardless of whether either of these perspectives is more accurate, how can a machine or technology in general be culturally biased at all? Well, acknowledging that I'm in no way a technology or even an AI expert, my professional expertise alone is the only thing necessary to explore the role AI has the potential to play in our day-to-day relationship interactions with others, both personally and professionally. And if you're open to such, I'd like to share a few considerations regarding why the potential for cultural bias in AI should not be overlooked. Consideration number one, remember that AI is everywhere. For those of you who are opposed to or even reasonably cautious about the role of AI and the impact it can have on your life, I encourage you to maintain the healthiest perspective possible. And that starts with acknowledging to yourself, for better or for worse, that AI is everywhere. Unlike in the movies where there might be some big self-aware computer in some warehouse that if you turn the power off, you can just get rid of it. Or if you just don't download those pesky intrusive apps, you've created an AI-free existence. And sure, some work really hard to be as AI-free as reasonably possible. But if you acknowledge the broad scope of what AI entails, you will realize, even if reluctantly, that AI is everywhere. For example, some of the more obvious examples are of AI that include virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa that have gotten millions of people comfortable calling out for AI to help them not only solve their problems, but also inviting them to learn their patterns and eventually anticipate their problems and solve them before they arise. And AI is not limited to those resources and those services. AI is relevant in the healthcare profession with helping doctors analyze imaging and data more efficiently. AI is relevant in the finance industry, analyzing and assessing spending and investing trends, and even military utilize AI to assess the likelihood of potential threats. In your daily personal life, AI is evident when you shop online and you receive recommendations based on past shopping preferences because it has learned your patterns. And AI is evident in vehicles for beyond Alexa and navigation services. Even those who are cautious about the safety of completely self-driving cars don't seem to mind the convenience of a self-parking car every once in a while. And AI is relevant when you search on social media and see that content that reflects the content you historically spend more time watching, as if saying, the fact that you search for or watch these things more often and longer on a certain topic or perspective, because of that, I can help you by showing you more thumbnails and links reflective of those similar preferences. And this is where things get more interesting. Because it's one thing to have the convenience of recommended content based on your preferences. It's another thing altogether to be so surrounded by so many similar things that you conclude that everybody thinks the way you think, because that's what you're surrounded by the most. In this way, AI has the potential to skew our perspectives on reality, which leads to consideration number two. And that is AI output is and can indeed be biased because it's influenced by biased input. The question of whether AI can or cannot be biased is not based on whether or not it has feelings, and then whether those feelings can be negative toward a certain group or certain groups of people. Rather, the consideration of biased AI output is simply based on the reality that AI output is the result of input. And that input, as well as the internal systems, formulas, and language that govern the output it produces, was and is created and maintained by imperfect and often naturally biased human beings. For example, studies show that AI resume filtering tools used in hiring procedures tend to overrepresent some cultural groups and underrepresent other cultural groups. Why? Because the program doesn't like certain people and doesn't want it to be a part of the business? No. Among other things, because the way the program was valued more highly towards certain traits that tend to occur more frequently in certain groups, more so than other groups, it impacts the results. And the facial recognition tools used when evaluating potential candidates have been shown to reflect racial disparities as well. How? Well, when it's told that certain traits mean someone is angry or untrustworthy, the program doesn't know how to identify cultural misunderstandings and misinterpretations. It just spits out the results generated based on those cultural misunderstandings and interpretations, helping the programmer and anyone else in charge say, it wasn't me who chose this non-diverse pool of candidates. Our objective AI program chose the most qualified candidates. Those not chosen can't blame a neutral computer for being biased against them, right? Which leads to consideration number three. Instead of fighting to get rid of AI altogether, help make AI more culturally competent. If we accept that AI is here to stay and that all technology has its pros and cons, then the goal should be how do we maximize the pros and reduce the cons? In the case of culturally biased AI, producing output influenced by cultural biases of those who created, programmed, and maintained it, then it's worth making intentional efforts to consider cultural competence at every step in this process. As I've reflected on many occasions, this is not a proposal to bring a race-based agenda to the world of AI, nor am I even focused solely on racial or ethnic differences in ways that swing the pendulum from favoring one group to favoring a different group instead. Instead, making AI more culturally competent and less biased includes intentionally representing as many cultural identities and experiences as humanly possible in ways that take into account the strengths and growth areas, the needs and contributions of people from all walks of life, including but not limited to age, gender, socioeconomic status, political affiliations, religious beliefs, and many more, with inclusion that values and informs rather than shames or suppresses. In addition to adding more culturally balanced input from a greater variety of life experiences, supporting representation in the professional field of AI is necessary as well. For if everyone who programs and maintains AI is pulling from the similar life experiences, then their effectiveness will be similarly limited. Again, this is not about quotas or hiring restrictions and mandates, but instead it's about variety and perspectives for our shared edification. And this isn't a one and done solution. As technology continues to evolve at a rapid and ongoing pace, so do the efforts to keep AI relevant to as many life experiences as possible. In who is contributing to this input and who is regularly maintaining, managing this input, not to suppress, but to ensure biased patterns are being identified and corrected on a regular basis as it happens, resulting in the closest thing we can possibly get to objective truths and the way people who rely on AI will have the opportunity to be informed and to make varied, informed decisions and choices of their own. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you will be able to see and appreciate technology for what it is, as well as be cautious about what it can be if unchecked. Technology isn't bad in and of itself. In fact, it can be, and often is, quite useful in our daily lives. Try to go a day without any technology and see how uncomfortable you get. And AI in particular is becoming so integrated into our lives, again, for better or for worse, that it's becoming harder to avoid even if you try. However, it's not about whether AI is bad or whether it's not, whether it's racist or culturally biased or not, but rather it's about how we use it that determines its positive or negative impact on our day-to-day lives. Personally, I don't like to say that AI is racist because that seems to convey that AI in and of itself has the ability to make its own conclusions about groups of people, and that's not how I see it. However, I do see the merit in many people choosing to say that AI is racist or culturally biased, because regardless of how it came to be, if AI is consulted and it generates results that convey, whether directly or indirectly, that certain groups of people are superior and other groups of people are inferior, then that tool is being utilized to convey a racist or culturally biased message. And in many ways, that is more dangerous than a person doing so, because people can hide behind these seemingly neutral and objective technology to support negative and polarizing views and behaviors, policies and procedures, resources toward others in ways that can have devastating effects. What is needed from you is your critical thinking mind. Choose to take AI-generated results as just one perspective, even a helpful perspective, but continue to search real-life confirmation before determining what you'll believe and how you'll treat others. And if you encounter discrepancy between what life shows you and what AI tells you, then I beg of you to value real-life feelings and experiences over that which you find online. And while you're at it, make intentional efforts to expand the people for whom you are gathering those life experiences from on a day-to-day basis, one daily experience at a time, for personal benefit as well as that of everyone you encounter. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Do podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address on an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know of anyone else who could benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, then feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged as well. Or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. And don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share with someone else so that they can be inspired as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And as always, remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
What's up, everyone? It's Shaletta. I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.